everyone, and welcome to episode 7 of A Disney Life podcast. Thank you for being here with us today, and we appreciate you listening. This is a place where you can come to listen to us chat about a Disney life and all of the things that we love to do at Disney. We appreciate you being here with us. In today's episode, we are going to be discussing fall at Walt Disney World Resort. It's still summertime here, but things for the fall will be gearing up very soon at Disney World, and it's one of our favorite times of year there. Although I think we could probably say that about pretty much every time of year. There's something that we love about every time of year. So thank you for being here with us to listen. I am Missy, and I am joined by my co-host Rachel. Hello, Rachel.
Hello, Missy.
It's good to have you here
Yeah.
today. So, in addition to our chat about fall at Walt Disney World, today's top 5 will be centered around the reasons why we think you should stay on Walt Disney World property when you visit the Walt Disney World Resort in Orlando. We'll have a question and answer with a question about what to do for a park day if you are planning on going to the parks and you don't have tickets to the Christmas party or Halloween party or whatever extra event might be going on that day. And then Rachel will have a tip of the week for us coming up at the end. So thanks for tuning in, and we hope you enjoy the episode.
On this episode, we're going to be talking about everything fall at Walt Disney World. So we are recording currently at the beginning of July. However, fall comes into full swing in August at the Walt Disney World Resort. So we're going to walk through some of the things that you can find around the parks and around property, and we'll be discussing some of those options. So let's begin at Hollywood Studios. At Hollywood Studios, if you like to dine at Hollywood and Vine with Minnie and friends for lunch and for dinner, they will have a costume change beginning on August the 16th where the characters will be in Halloween costumes. And there's usually a display at the front of the restaurant that you can have your picture taken out in front of too as you go into there. So, Missy, have you ever done that before at Hollywood and Vine, the seasonal dining?
I have not done the seasonal. So we've been to Hollywood and Vine many times. It was a favorite of the kids when they were a little bit younger, but I haven't been to the seasonal dining. Anytime I've seen photos, though, they're absolutely adorable. The costumes that the characters dress in are so cute.
Yeah, the last time we were there was during a seasonal one. It was during Halloween, and it was very, very cute, and the kids loved it. So they were still doing the social distancing character. So that can tell you how long it's been since we have been to Hollywood and Vine for seasonal. But seeing Mickey dressed as a vampire was really adorable. So it's a fun way if you do like to see the characters, but want to see something different. Hollywood and Vine does have a lot of seasonal options where the characters do have costume changes throughout the years, but that I believe is one of the earliest offerings for fall at Walt Disney World with August 16th. That starts very, very soon. And next, we'll talk about Disney Springs. So obviously, merchandise will be there. You can go to World of Disney and see a lot of the merchandise there as it starts to come out. Cake fans, be sure to go to Amorette's Patisserie. They usually have some kind of Haunted Mansion themed cake or fall themed cake that you can get during this time of the year. But I would say, probably starting very soon, merchandise will start showing up.
Right. And speaking of merchandise, I don't know exactly where all of these items will be for sale yet, but we do just have a brand new release this month with some Haunted Mansion specific merchandise, and it's newer things. There's a Ghost Host Spirit jersey, which looks to be a lot of fun. Have you seen that, Rachel?
Yeah, I have it. It has the cast member pin, so I can't tell what it says based on the photos, but that is fun.
We'll need to be checking that out soon. There's a 999 jersey as well. If you've seen the new trend for jerseys, I know they've had several of them come out at Disneyland. We're starting to see them at Disney World also, so that's a lot of fun. There's a build your own headband option with some different Haunted Mansion things. So it seems like there's a lot of fun new merch out just starting this month. So July 7th, that appeared in the stores for us. So.
Yeah, and apart from just the clothing that you have, you also have a Doom Buggy Fright Light that is a tabletop light and collectible, and I really like that. That comes out on July the 11th, and there's going to be a bigger size of it too. So I don't know what the two sizes are going to be, but it ghostly glows for larger spaces. So that could be fun to have in your. I may have to get one and put it on my kitchen island.
Sounds so spooky.
A kid's nightlight, yeah. They also have the Hitchhiking Ghost mugs. If you are a mug collector, these are cute, if you can say that about them as well. Some stretching room ornaments. We are huge fans of the stretching room portraits in our household. So they have some stretching room ornaments and a new Dooney and Burke bag that is coming out this
Oh,
year
that
too.
print looks pretty. I saw that. That's a different print. So I do
Yeah,
have,
very
back
nice.
when the original Haunted Mansion Dooney came out, I got that with the wallpaper print. I think that's going to be just my favorite all time. They've had a few different ones since then, but this one's pretty nice. I like it with the black and white, and it's a neat print.
Yeah, I do. I like it too. It's even though the print is kind of it's still busy as far as there's a lot on it. I do like the black and whites kind of more subtle and understated as well as opposed to some of the ones that are more colorful. But I will tell you, so July 7th is when this starts on disneystore.com. We don't know exactly when this will hit the parks yet. It doesn't say that, but last year I was at the parks mid July, and on my last day, merchandise hit the stores. So merchandise comes pretty quickly and will pretty soon. By the time this podcast airs, it might already be in stores at the parks. So keep an eye out for these things. All right, next, here's the big one that's coming, Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. So this is going to run select nights from August 15th to October the 31st. Yes, August 15th. That's coming up pretty soon. That's still going to be very hot. It will not feel like fall at all, but it will be fall at the Magic Kingdom. This is a separately ticketed event. Party guests can enter beginning at 4 p.m. So if you have a party ticket, you do not have to have a park ticket to enter the park at 4 p.m. that day. So this is a great way if you want to get a rest day in that morning. If this is the middle of your trip, you feel like getting a rest day in, do that. Go to the pool, get dressed for the party, and head in beginning at 4 p.m. The party itself will begin at 7 p.m. The park closes to non ticketed guests at 6 p.m. So if you enter at 4 p.m. and the party goes until midnight, you still have a full 8-hour day at the Magic Kingdom, which is pretty good, all things considered.
It really is. It really, the amount of hours does make it seem like a full park day for you. And since a lot of it is spent later in the evening, it'll be a little cooler than your mid afternoon hours, also. So that's nice.
Yeah, so
There
maybe
are,
layer your costume and
it's true,
add
you
on
do
to
need
it
to
as the night
layer.
goes on.
Who are we fooling? Through most of this, it's still going to be plenty hot. I would not need any layers.
Yes.
That seems to always be a complication no matter where I am for Halloween. If you plan for something that you need cold weather for, it'll be hot, and then vice versa. But I feel like in Florida, you're going to end up with some pretty hot weather, at least during the day for the party. So at the parties, there's a whole list of things we can go through, even with what's available at Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. I think there's a shorter list of things that are the most popular things. So I'd kind of like to talk about some of them in today's episode. One of them being the character meet and greets. So you will find so many unique character meet and greet options at the Halloween party. These are things that you're not going to find, characters you're not going to find at other times of the day. Even during the Halloween season, these characters are not just going to be out meeting and greeting. This is like a Halloween exclusive thing. So I know Jack and Sally from The Nightmare Before Christmas are always some of the most popular lines. Uh,
Yes. And Jack has a new look, which is more like Jack.
I'm eager to see that in person as well.
Yeah.
So I think that when you're going to a party like this, it's important to decide ahead of time what your priorities are, because those character lines can be very, very long. If your ideal party is meeting as many characters as possible, by all means, go ahead and do that. Just know when you're purchasing your ticket, because tickets are not inexpensive at all, be sure that you have your priorities in line, because you can't go in there to expect to meet all of the characters and to trick or treat and to see the parade and to see fireworks. There's just not quite that much time
If
of
you're a
those
Nightmare
things.
Before Christmas fan, get in line for Jack and Sally as soon as you get in because they have the longest lines. And so people will still, you'll still hear chatter online about, oh, we didn't get to meet them because the line was so long. And so if you want to do more than just stand in line, get there at 4 and find out where the line is going to be and start seeing when you can head over and get into it.
And I do think it helps a lot that the Boo Parade is run 2 times during each party. So every night that there is a party at the Magic Kingdom, the parade will run 2 times. It makes it a little easier with scheduling things. I think historically, the later parade is the one that's slightly less attended, but I don't think that's necessarily always the case. I think they're both pretty popular. So don't expect either of them to be crowd free. You'll
Yeah.
still want to give yourself a little bit of time to get to a good spot on the parade route. But everybody loves to see that headless horseman go by. It's a pretty iconic event there for that during that parade. So that's something that I do think you should schedule around and make it a point to see the parade, either the first or second run of it, no matter what your other priorities are for the night.
Yeah, and keep in mind too that the headless horseman will come around probably about 10 minutes before the actual parade starts, as far as you're seeing other floats. And I do believe probably that's because of keeping the horse comfortable with the rider on its back, and because the lights will get lower, music will start blaring out. So they do run the horseman several minutes before the other floats coming down. But I love the Boo to You Halloween parade is absolutely one of my favorites. Just seeing all the different costumes, and it is very special. I love the haunted mansion scenes with the graveyard butlers, and it's wonderful. It really is. We watch it here on YouTube all the time. My kids love it too.
Oh, really? That's funny. Yeah, the grave diggers with their shovels and how they spark. I think that's my favorite part of the
Yeah.
parade. So
Yeah.
that's a lot of fun. And then of course in between parades we've got fireworks for everybody to see. Do you think that there's a best place to watch the fireworks? Is it from right in front of the castle, or what do you think about this
I would say
particular
anywhere
show?
that you can see the castle because of projections. Years ago, when they had Hallow Wishes, you just need to be able to see the fireworks. But now with castle projections, right in front of the castle is going to be your best bet. But if you don't care about the projections, I say go into Tomorrowland and you can have a great view of some fireworks back there. You'll still hear the music. You just won't see the projections. But yeah, right in front of the castle is going to be your best bet for that. And keep in mind, too, this is going to be a less crowded fireworks show than what you would have on a non party day. So it's still important to get a good view, but you don't feel like you need to be camping out 2 hours before the fireworks just to see the castle.
That's right, right. So, of course, this is a Halloween party. What would Halloween be without trick or treating? And of course, that is always a very popular option at these parties as well. I've seen some super long lines for trick or treating, and I've seen some non existent lines where you can just walk up and grab it. So, what does your family tend to do, Rachel, when you're there during the party for trick or treating?
During the party for trick or treating, we hit up some lines towards Tomorrowland and then walking into the new Fantasyland expansion area. That's usually where we go for our candy. I will note parents leave the bags at home. You do not need to bring your own bag. Your kids don't need to bring their Halloween bucket. There will be bags provided there. All the candy is provided by the Mars Wrigley Candy Company. So it's the good stuff. You won't have the leftover candy that comes in the big, massive pack. You're going to get the good stuff. You're going to come away with a lot of candy and find the trick or treat trails. Cast members are very generous with it. They just give you handfuls of it. Also, if your child has an allergy, you can ask a cast member for an allergy friendly bag and they will give you a teal bag for your child to use so the cast member knows that there is a food allergy to take into consideration. And I love that Disney does that, seeing around. Fortunately, we don't have to deal with food allergies in my family, but that's important to know. If you are going to spend that kind of money and go there, it's going to be important to your child that Disney does take that in consideration.
It is, I think it's amazing how conscious Disney is of guests who do have allergies, particularly food allergies, not just for this party, but at all of their dining locations in general, having separate menus if you have allergy concerns, and any dietary needs. And it's just great that you and your little ones can feel safe with them trick or treating in the Magic Kingdom. So I think that's a huge benefit of traveling.
Yes, yeah, Disney is wonderful about them, from the parks to the cruise lines. If you have a food allergy, they will get you taken care of. And speaking of food, there's also going to be several dining locations that are going to be open and throughout the parks too. Plenty of places for quick service. You can also get some table service meals as well. But if you don't have a party ticket, don't think you're going to be able to just to get an 8 p.m. dining reservation and stay. You will not be allowed to keep that dining reservation. So take that in consideration. Plus, there's going to be special treats that are party exclusive only throughout the park, throughout some locations as well, too.
Right. And those mostly are snack treats that you'll be able to get at quick service locations, right?
Yes, mostly snack type treats, but they do have several different kinds. I know last year, not last year, but a couple years ago, the stretching portraits, they had some chocolates of the stretching portraits that were very popular, but they actually have those at Disney Springs now too. So if you're not going for a party, you can still get those at Disney Springs.
And keep in mind that this is Mickey's not so scary Halloween party. So this is a very family friendly and guests of all ages type event. This is not a horror night type activity. There's typically some Disney Junior dance shows, right? Don't they do like the dance shows or something that goes on in Tomorrowland too?
Yes, there will be dance parties and dance shows there. Yeah.
And then there's I think they usually do the Hocus Pocus spectacular on stage three or four times maybe
Yeah,
during
'cause
each
that's
party.
a very popular show. People love that show, and, one thing that I love about these parties with Disney is that they listen to guest feedback on these because when the Sanderson sisters came, that was a huge draw for a lot of people to be able to see that. Show's been very popular each year, and so they keep bringing it back as a result of that.
So, yeah, so I think the Not So Scary Halloween Party, Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, is a huge draw for guests during the fall season. And it's something that, like Rachel mentioned earlier, from the middle of August, August 15th through Halloween, you could enjoy this. It is a separate ticketed event that you do have to purchase tickets for, and it is not inexpensive. So it's definitely something you'd want to plan ahead for in budget, and schedule your itinerary appropriately so that you can get your best value and enjoyment out of that.
Yes, and it does sell out too. I believe as of the date of us recording this episode, only Halloween is sold out. But as you get closer to other dates will begin to sell out, especially the closer to Halloween dates typically sell out first. And then as you get closer to actual travel dates, those begin to sell out. And these tickets are non refundable. However, if your party plans do change at some point, you do retain the value of the ticket for another party in the future. You'll begin to sell out. Sometimes you get lucky and can find tickets the day of if that becomes an interest to you. There's been speculation in the past if Disney holds back any tickets for day of purchases. Can't confirm that, but sometimes you do get lucky on that. So, but one thing I will say, my favorite part about the party is that you can dress up. We did talk about this because it's a little bit hot, but Disney has very strict rules about dressing up for adults, especially in the parks. Children, if your children want to walk around the parks in their princess costumes, that's completely fine with Disney. But for an
Yep,
adult,
any day of the year, anything
yeah,
goes with that, with the kids, yes.
yes,
But once you hit 12 years old or so, not so much.
yeah, not so much. That's why Disney bounding has become so popular in the last couple of years. It's a good way, fun way for adults to get in on the fun. But for the parties, even adults can dress up. It's always fun to try and spot some obscure Disney references with some costumes. Some people really get creative with what they can do. I know that a couple of years ago there was a couple dressed up from the characters of Carousel of Progress that were causing a big social
That's
media,
fun.
yeah, blast on there because
That's a lot
they
of
did a
fun.
really good job. So, but one year, and you can coordinate as a family. One year we just went with whatever. I was Ariel in her village dress. My son was Spider-Man. My daughter was Snow White, and my husband was Gaston. So we had a good time just being a
Quite a
hodgepodge.
mix. Well, I think the last time we did the Halloween party was 3 years ago, and my youngest daughter dressed up as one of the plaids. So, if you're not familiar with what a plaid is at Disney, it's one of those cast members who has a very important role. They are the tour guides at the parks, and they typically wear navy colored skirts or shorts along with a plaid vest. So, she had her plaid vest on, and she was just glowing with excitement at one point when we were walking through the Magic Kingdom, and a cast member spied her, and just at that moment, another guest had asked the cast member a question, and the cast member turned and looked at my daughter and said, well, ask her, she's the plaid. And she just loved that somebody was
And she probably knew
recognizing
the
what she
answer.
was. If she didn't, I would have been disappointed. It's okay that you're only 12 or 13. You should know these answers if you're my kid. So yeah, that is a very fun part of it. Now, with all that being said, all of those things are related to the party, but that does not mean that you can't enjoy the Magic Kingdom at Halloween time without a party ticket. So the parks are going to be decorated all day. Those iconic Mickey pumpkin head wreaths will be lining Main Street, and there will be decorations all over the place for really fun photo ops. So it's not that it's not Halloween at all unless you're in the actual party, but those specific party events that we mentioned are exclusive for the party.
Yes, absolutely. And especially going Main Street tends to be where most of the decorations are located. Look through the windows, you'll see pumpkins up top that have been carved and decorated in different things. And then as you exit under the railroad station, you'll see you real soon carved out in pumpkins. Those are always there. And of course, the Halloween pumpkin wreaths, they do light up at night, even if you're not there for a party. So it's a great photo opportunity. Those are really fun to see. And they begin August 15th. It'll be decorated by then.
Somehow, even with as hot as it is in August, when you see those, you kind of get that fall feel in the air.
Yeah.
So that's always something fun to see. It's exciting when they start rolling all of that out. And like you said, the decorations at the train station are a lot of fun. Around the center hub where you enter Main Street, near the flagpole, is always decorated. So there's plenty to see in the Magic Kingdom park, even if you're not there for a Halloween party.
All right. And so my next thing that we're going to talk about with fall at Walt Disney World, this is my favorite part of fall at Walt Disney World.
Well, what is it? Please
It
tell.
is it is the Epcot International Food and Wine Festival.
Get out of town.
So this will run daily from August 28th to November 22nd of this year. I'll be attending the tail end of the event with my family this year. We'll be there when it closes out. So this has booths showcasing cuisine and cultures from around the world. I believe it was announced that there are going to be 35 global marketplaces this year. As of the recording, we don't have the menus yet, but those should be coming out soon. There's been a lot of fall announcements lately, so those should be coming out very, very soon. But as of the recording of this, they are not out. But
Also, part of what you can, I guess, some guests would consider to be part of that would be the Wine and Dine Half Marathon weekend, which this year is October 3rd to 26th. So that is going to be a pretty busy time in the parks. If you're trying to choose a date to plan to visit the Food and Wine Festival, I wouldn't recommend that weekend. And like with all festivals, we always recommend during the week, if at all possible, because the weekends are just always busier at the festival booths. You'll find shorter lines during the week.
yeah, yes, completely. I always try to hit up the festival at least twice during a trip because I inevitably hit a point where I can't eat anything else. And so I always start on one side, usually start on the Mexico side first and make my way around World Showcase that way. And then on the next trip, start over closer to Canada and that area and make my way across to the middle. But over the last couple of years, the festival booths have been spread out throughout the park where you can find them in other locations as well. It used to be solely confined to World Showcase, but they have placed it in other parts. And I do recommend festival booths open usually at 11 a.m. because that's when World Showcase opens. Some of the ones that you can find over closer to Test Track, those areas, they may be open a little bit earlier, but usually 11 a.m. is the opening time. I recommend get in line then. The booths closer to the ends, the caps of World Showcase, are always going to have longer lines because I think that just draws more people in naturally. Plus, the Canada booth is very popular with some of its offerings. So is the booth in Mexico. So I recommend getting lined those at 11 a.m. Have your lunch that way and keep walking around through that. But as Missy said, I avoid the weekends. I also avoid when it starts to get dark out at the booths. I have small children. World Showcase gets very crowded and congested in some places. It's not easy to navigate a stroller through there. So we try to be out of there usually by about 5 p.m.
So, Rachel, you mentioned the booths being spread out more, and I'll admit, a few years back when we still had Future World, before the World Celebration area and the whole new side of Epcot was constructed and reimagined, I didn't like it when they started kind of bumping some of the booths out that way. To me, a lot of what the festivals were was a cultural experience, and I didn't like getting away from the World Showcase area for that. But I have to say, now I love it. I love the way that they have extended it and they have found different themes for each of the festival booths that are relevant and that aren't necessarily pulling from a country. They're pulling from a different type of cuisine or focusing on a certain type of food. So I think that they've done a really good job utilizing all of the space they have because, I mean, looking at Epcot on a park map, it's a huge, huge park. You've got a lake in the middle and you can't use that space. So
Yeah.
using the World Celebration side of the park, extending over there into that area, as far out as they do, I think that's excellent planning. It helps disperse the crowds a lot. And it also makes it so you can continue to enjoy that part of the park without feeling you're missing a lot. Because if your kids want to be riding with Nemo and friends and seeing Crush, or if they're in line for new Test Track, which is now opening, you can still visit food booths and not be in World Showcase. So I love that they've done that. So I admit I was wrong when they when I objected as they started doing that. I have seen their vision come to life here, and I think it works excellent.
Yeah, I will say though, one thing I do miss about it is when they utilize the Wonders of Life Pavilion. Do you remember that?
Oh,
And you can go in and they had merchandise set up. They would have cooking demonstration.
I'm trying to remember. I don't think I ever bothered going in there.
Okay. Well, we did, and you could easily spend a lot of time, but they would have a big section of just the merchandise in there, and it was never crowded because nobody knew to go to that area.
Maybe that's why I wasn't there. Maybe I didn't know any better. I don't
Yeah,
know. I'll have to look back.
that's
I'll
probably why
I'll
they
have to
moved it
think
all
on
out of
it.
there because nobody knew, but they would have cooking demonstrations in there, and a lot of these would be separately ticketed, but if you were just walking around the Wonders of Life Pavilion, you could see the cooking demonstration. I saw Buddy Valestro there, that does the, Carlos Bakery in New York City that's very
Yeah,
famous.
yeah,
Yeah, I
very
saw him there
cool.
one time. Yeah. So, we didn't have tickets to it, but we were just walking around and he was there and they couldn't
And he
stop
was
me
there,
laughing.
huh? And then you also have the Odyssey building, which
Mhm.
is a handy place to sit and be able to find a table and cool off a bit. And they usually have some very tasty treats in there. And then there is the new, I'm totally blanking on the name. They had the Broadway stuff there during Festival of the Arts. They have some
Yes.
goofy thing happening
Rainier
there.
Connections, what is it?
We are so bad at this.
We are.
Just so everybody understands, when we say like this is us chatting Disney, this is literally us chatting Disney. This is not super prepped. We each have our notes, but this is the only time of the week Rachel and I actually get to chat. So you're just living our friendship with
Yeah.
us right here.
Absolutely. Name forgetting and all. And part of the problem is I still want to call that whole area Future World.
Communicore Hall. Communicore
Yes,
Hall
that's
is what
it.
it's called. I got it. And it came to me. I
Yes.
didn't even look it up. So that I was a little questionable on that space too, because at first it was like you guys just gave us an empty food court building. Like, what is this? But they've had some pretty great uses for it since then. And I appreciate, every few months seeing that transform festival to festival, depending on what's going on. So that'll be neat to see in the future too.
Yeah. I do miss there was the pavilion over in World Showcase kind of tucked away back where the UK is that was open during
Yes.
festivals. I do miss it being there because that was a very large space and they had a lot of bathrooms.
I'm trying to remember I feel like I was in there not too long ago during a festival, but maybe not. It might have been a private event I was in there for.
I think 21 was the last
Yeah.
festival I was in there
I
for.
remember getting one of those like nitro pops. It was like a fudgy, the
Yeah.
freeze dried. Oh my word, that was good. But that's been several years now too. So
Yeah.
that's a huge space that I wish they'd use more often because they could do a lot
Yes.
of cool stuff in there.
Yes, and it's a not yeah, there were probably 5 or 6 booths set up in there, and then you have a huge area that you could stand around with tables and everything, and then the bathrooms on the outside. They usually had a piano player in there too. So that was a nice I missed that space. That was a great space for that to be in. But yeah, so the booths are obviously a big draw. It's really fun just to try new things. A lot of the food will be a snack credit on the Disney dining plan if you have that. If you have children and they're not too interested in the festival booths, because sometimes if you have picky eaters, it could be kind of hard to convince them to try some things. But there is the hide and squeak scavenger hunt, the Remy's hide and squeak scavenger hunt that they can take part in. And that's fun for them too. Well, Remy will be set up in different booths in different locations. Kids will get clothes to try and find where he is located as well. And then they can turn that in for a little prize.
And that's a lot of fun. There's a ton to
Yeah,
do in Epcot in the fall.
yes. Yeah, and of course, we can't talk about this without talking about the Eat to the Beat concert series, which will be taking place on select nights throughout the festival as well. It does not take place every single night anymore. I believe it did for several years, but I think they've had to kind of spread it out with some of the artists that they have. So it will take place select nights. Most likely during your trip, there will be at least one performance at the Epcot during that time, but this is included with your park entrance as well.
And we would just like to say that the Beach Boys have been added to the schedule this year. And if John Stamos would like to be there, so would we.
Yes, absolutely. That is during the
Let's
time
put
that I
that
will
out
be
there.
there. I plan on seeing if Uncle Jesse makes an appearance. And we do know that John Stamos loves the Disney park, so I kind of feel good that he might
Yeah.
do that. But looking at the list from this year, there are several new artists. Katie Tunstall is a new artist that'll be there. Ben Rector, The Wanted 2.0, Jordan Sparks, Bowling for Soup, and of course the Beach Boys. Those are all new artists that have been announced for this year. There is still one to be determined as well that they
Ooh,
have not announced yet.
how mysterious. And it's worth mentioning if you're not familiar with the Eat to the Beat concert series, these are entirely free concerts. So You can just roll right up there at one of the scheduled times and sit in the outdoor theater and enjoy it, or just hear the music as you're passing by. It's also an option to get a table outside. So it's in the American Adventure area. There are tables right outside the Regal Eagle smokehouse there. You can sit there and hear the music, even if you're not down within view to actually see the performer. So I think it's a pretty special thing that they offer. There's no additional park ticket for this. It's not a special event like over at the Magic Kingdom with the Halloween party. This is just something offered to all guests. There are dining packages, right, Rachel?
There are, and those are not ready to be scheduled yet, but when that opens up, that will open up within 60 days of August 29th, obviously, because we are within 60 days of that time period, but they will open up and you could book a restaurant. It is a set price for that restaurant. Most of the time with that might be a set menu or something like that, like a price fix. But you will set up your dining reservation and you can set up a time too that you would like to see the concert. When you go to your dining reservation, they'll give you a pass and you get to go. You get guaranteed seating into the concert. So that is a wonderful way. If there's somebody that you absolutely have to see, if Hanson is on your must see list, then this is a great way to guarantee
Bop.
you'll have to. Yeah, if you want it, Bob, because you know they're going to play.
They've got to.
You might want to get this on there. So that's another wonderful way because some of these concerts, people will line up for hours beforehand.
Right.
You will see
They
some of
will.
them.
It's like people lining up for the Candlelight Processional to see
Yes,
John
yes,
Stamos or
to
Neil
see.
Patrick Harris.
Yeah,
A year or so
yes,
ago, we did both in the same week. It was like amazing. But these are not reserved seats. You're just able to get in the line that enters first. So the sooner you get in the line, the better seat you get because you can choose your seat. And then they'll let that standby line in once that dining package line has already entered. You are able to get in the standby line earlier too if you'd like, and can go in and choose your seat based on what's available after those packages have seated.
yeah. And Missy mentioned you can sit at other places too. I've actually sat in the Japan pavilion at the tables that they have kind of up by the koi pond. I've sat there and heard
Yeah.
the music there before too. So I
Yeah,
got a
you
little
can hear
taste
it
of
from all over the place. You know, it echoes a bit depending on the weather and the clouds and
yeah.
whatever across the lake. You know, the back of the stage is closed off, of course, and that's what's on the lake. So you don't get a ton of sound across the lake, but you could hear it from several areas around World Showcase.
Yeah, and I will say I'll add this one in there too. I was looking at the list to see who's going to be there when we are there. If you are there September 12th through 14th, I highly recommend going to see Starship featuring Mickey Thomas.
Okay.
They are fantastic. They put on a great show. And there are so many, if you are a classic rock fan, there are so many songs that you'll recognize. We built this city on rock and roll. I think made a list one time, like VH1's list of the worst songs ever recorded. Yeah, exactly. It's wonderful and so fun and catchy. But the very last show that they have on the 14th, and I've seen them several times play there before, and it's always happens the very last show, they have like a fan club that shows up. They usually do a cover of Rocky Raccoon from the Beatles in their fan
Okay.
club. No joke. We'll put on little raccoon mask and like
Okay.
stand up and dance. And he knows it's coming. They know it's coming. He kind of does like almost like a little request show
Mm.
during that time too from fans as well. But they hit all their top hits. This is one of those things. If you see a group there that you like and they had several just top hits, this is like a greatest hits concert for these groups to do there. So you're not going to necessarily hear the obscure songs or songs that you haven't heard on the radio before, but this is what they do during that time, their top hits, about a 30-minute show.
A few years ago, we saw Christopher Cross, and I am a diehard rock radio fan, and I make my kids listen to it, much to their dismay. But I do think they will admit it was pretty cool when they were sitting there to see the concert that they were actually recognizing the songs that he
Yeah.
was singing. So that was pretty cool.
One of these days, if Steely Dan ever makes it, Missy and I will be there together.
I will be there with Lincoln, your
Yeah.
son.
My son knows a lot of Steely Dan music. But yeah, that just came out as of this recording. That Eat to the Beat dropped yesterday. The lineup did. So that was pretty big news that we got there. So I would imagine by the time that this broadcasts out that we'll probably have some menus for the festival too. And maybe a start date for when the dining package can be booked too.
So I think it's worth discussing a little bit some other reasons that traveling in the fall could be ideal for your family. We often see some of the best prices of the year at the resorts during the fall. We see some great package options if you want to bundle tickets in with it and dining or discounted room rates. And just traditionally, there are some dates in the fall that cost a lot less than they do at Christmas time or in the spring break, and over the summer. So it's a good time for a family vacation. It's a good time for a date trip or a solo trip. There's just a lot to do there that time of year. I feel like in September, you'll have much slower crowds because a lot of kids are getting back to school at that point. I know down in the Florida area, they seem to be back early August. Up in Pennsylvania, where I am, it's the very end of August. So I feel like most parents aren't pulling their kids out of school right at the start of the school year. So you may have fewer kids down there in September than you do the rest. Really, weekdays in October are still not too bad at this point, and there's that sweet spot right after Halloween, but before Thanksgiving, that you can get some days during the week that are pretty slow. Veterans Day weekend seems to be a little bit busier, but there's still a lot of times when you could anticipate lower crowds there.
Yes, absolutely. And Jersey Week is another one. Usually the first 2 weeks of October, schools in the South have fall break. So that's something to take into consideration too. However, if you have a child in the school in the South and you have a fall break, that's a great time to go, honestly, because you do have better weather overall during that time of the year in early October. But once those first 2 weeks cap out and you're getting closer to Halloween, when you avoid food and wine, half marathon weekend, and you do see some nice weather and some nice crowds in that too. And if you are there for the week of Halloween, October 31st, check out the Magic Kingdom because you will see Halloween decorations. November 1st, they are gone. It transitions
Exactly.
pretty
There,
quick.
so there is a transition that's pretty quick there. And we just talked a lot about the Food and Wine Festival, and the Wine and Dine Half Marathon is the end of October, but that Food and Wine Festival goes until November 22nd. And we will start seeing Jollywood nights at Hollywood Studios and Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party early on in November. Your holidays can overlap there a bit. So it is still definitely the fall at Walt Disney World early in November, but you can have some Christmas celebration mixed in with it too if you want.
Yeah, if you take a long enough trip, you might be able to hit up both parties depending on how far
That's
apart
right.
they are.
And keep in mind that you won't see many Christmas decorations going up at Epcot until the Food and Wine Festival does wind down after the 22nd, and then they'll be starting up the Festival of the Holidays.
Yes. Yeah, and resorts typically, those are some of the last to get decorated too after the parks as well.
All right. I think that's all we have about the fall that we really need to talk about today. So if you have any tips about fall travel or want to share any photos with us, please check out our new group on Facebook, and you're welcome to share some photos there and tell us about your fall experiences at Walt Disney World. For today's top five, we are discussing our top five reasons to stay on Disney property at a Walt Disney World resort when you are visiting Disney World. So, Rachel, do you want to get things going with us with your number five?
I will get things going. This might surprise you because you probably would think this is higher up on my list, but I would say my number five reason would be that you are in the bubble, the Disney bubble.
Well, the Disney bubble is on my list, but that was my number one, Rachel. Being in the
I'm not
Disney
gonna say anything
bubble,
else about it till I get to your number one. So we'll
like
save that
you
one.
could you could probably take away all of the other things on my list, and I would be paying just to stay in the Disney bubble because I
Yes.
love the Disney
That's why I
bubble.
said it was surprising that it made so low on my list, but it is important. So we'll talk about it when we get to your number one. So let's
No,
do your
that's
number
okay.
five.
Go do it now. Go say what
No,
you got to
no,
say.
we're getting
That's
to your
okay.
number five.
It doesn't, I don't care. You never know how these things are going to end up and how we're going
Yes.
to list them. So, all right. So, my number five is the free water park on your arrival
Oh,
day. So, I know that's a specific to 2025 thing. We have been told we'll see it in 2026, but we don't know exactly when that'll start because they did tell us it won't be the entire year. It'll just be for some of the year. But I think the advantage of being able to visit a water park can be a great thing if you plan it strategically. You may need a split stay. We've talked about that before, but I think it's a great benefit because it gives you an extra day doing something fun and something that you don't have to pay any extra for.
yeah, that's a wonderful benefit and something, I wish I could take advantage of and when we're down there soon, but my flight will get in too late, but that really is a wonderful advantage. And for my flight getting in late, it's just a matter of logistics of how that happened. A lot of people do arrive early, whether they drive down or fly down. They try to get there as early as possible. So that is, yeah, that's a wonderful, wonderful advantage for this year. All right. So my number four would be benefits of transportation. The fact that you, even if you do drive, you can park your car and you don't have to worry about it for the remainder of your trip. So there's that benefit. It's not too far away from MCO Airport. So if you do fly in, you're at the parks pretty quickly. And we've given some transportation options from the airport to the parks to your resort there too. But if you are staying on Walt Disney World property, there are plenty of transportation options that are there for you to utilize for free.
So I love that you said that because that's pretty much what my number four is also, except for it's kind of for a different reason. I said when you're on property already, you have much easier access to the other Walt Disney World Resort hotels using their transportation because you're already there. So it's not a big deal at all to hop around from resort to enjoy their dining, whether you want to start your day with a breakfast somewhere else or take an afternoon break at another hotel or even dinner or a later snack in the evening. I just love having all of the Disney transportation right there for you. Now, I know you can still use that transportation even if you're not a guest at one of the Disney hotels, but to me, it just makes it a lot easier to be there to start with than to have to deal with driving your vehicle and parking in the parking lot. It's that transportation ticket center. I swear it gets bigger every time I see it. And now there's like main highways going down each end of it, and it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I don't want to park there if I don't
Right.
have
Well,
to.
and even if
Take
you
me to the
do
gate of the park.
yeah, and if you do park there, I mean, you're not having the buses aren't going there to get you to the resort, so you're still having to go to the Magic Kingdom and or to over to Epcot and catch a bus there. But and I one note to add on that that makes it a lot more convenient if you're already on property is that Disney started cracking down where you would have people who wanted to park at, let's say, the Contemporary Resort because it is a 10-minute walk to the Magic Kingdom.
Mhm.
So they would maybe do a mobile order at the Contempo Cafe and then they would try to get in and park there and then walk over. And Disney really put a crackdown on that because things started getting out. That's against the rules, very much so. Even if you are dining at Chef Mickey's and you have a legitimate reservation, depending on how crowded it is, a security guard might say you can only park here for 2 or 3 hours and then you have to leave. So being on property and having those transportation options is fantastic to get around, like you said.
And I am a very firm believer in using all of the resort benefits to my advantage whenever possible, but I do not think that guests should be taking advantage of those resort benefits that they are not entitled to. So we are not recommending, and I know it's not what Rachel said, but I just want to make sure we're clear. We are not recommending you make a dining reservation so you could secretly park at the Contemporary and try to leave your car all day there and not get caught. That's not what we're saying to do. We're saying to do the opposite
Yes,
and to use
we
Disney transportation to
yes.
get there to begin with.
Driving is still an option, but
Right.
we usually utilize that and then leave and drive to the park from there,
Right.
if we are going to a park after that or back to our own resort. So, keep those things in mind. Disney is cracking down on that. So having the transportation options already there, good use of those.
Okay.
All right, what do you have?
That's what I had.
Oh, that is
Remember,
what
I
you
also
have.
had it as my number
Sorry.
four.
All
I
right, so
had
number
that
3.
too, Rachel.
All right, so number
How
3
many of
for
these
me
do you want to ruin on me today?
it's been a while
Go
since
for
we talked,
three.
everybody. We're getting used to this again. All right, so number 3 for me would be the benefits of making advanced dining reservations and lightning lanes, before they open to the general public.
That's what you had, because that's what I had too.
Well, perfect. So, for dining reservations, those open up 60 days out from your check-in date, and that time length is valid for your length of stay. I always recommend if there's a special dining reservation that means a lot to you or is hard to get, such as Cinderella's Royal Table, try to make those towards the end of your trip, and so that way you have a longer option of time to get it. Same thing with you can book a lot of the Enchanted Extras at that time. Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique is still very, very popular. So if you have a child that is interested in going to Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique, book that towards the end of your trip. So you have a bigger window of opportunity to get the time that you prefer.
And that can make a huge difference. Staying at a Disney hotel and being able to book 60 days out plus 10 for dining, and the 7 days out for your entire stay for Lightning Lane will make a difference in whether or not you can get that reservation. Now, will it be impossible to get it after the fact? No, you can keep an eye on it. You can stock the reservations. You can modify Lightning Lane times, but it's a whole lot easier to just know you're all squared away and your plans are made right off the bat. So
And know too that they open up at different times. Enchanted Extras open up at midnight going into that 60th day, where dining reservations will open up at 6 a.m. on the app or a computer device on the 60th day itself. So if you're getting both, then you're going to get a very small window of sleep unless you have somebody assisting you with that. But midnight for Enchanted Extras. And that's very important. Like I said, a Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique is on your list. Be on at midnight. Another thing, capture your moments photography sessions. We haven't talked about that on this show before, but those are a lot of fun to do. And the early morning times are very ideal for a lot of people because you don't have as big of a crowd into the parks yet. And you can kind of get back in some of these nooks and crannies without other people in your photo. So that's also very important to get there on at midnight to make those reservations.
all right, let's hear your number two. Do we match this one up too?
Time.
Okay, it is. We okay. I do not have time. What do you mean by that?
By that, I mean, I talk to a lot of families who want to stay off property, and maybe saying that it's cost efficient for them, but oh, but we have children who are age to nap, and we're gonna drive back and nap because the place that we're staying is only 2 miles away from property. 2 miles away from property is about a 30 to 40 minute drive, depending on where you are starting your day at. You're not gonna make it back for nap time.
Hmm.
Um,
Preach.
Yes, so time is speaking of, I am a huge fan of stroller naps. Stroller naps are wonderful, your children will readjust when you get back home, but the time factor of staying on property where you can get around quickly and easily and efficiently is not to be missed and not to be underrated or understated for staying on property as well.
I totally agree with that. Totally agree. But that's not what my number two was.
Number
So
2.
my number two was the ability to add the Disney dining plan to your
Oh,
package. So we've talked in a previous episode at length about some options with the dining plan, and I think it can add a tremendous value if you're a family who plans on having a table service meal every day, or if you're a family traveling with young children who are able to get that dining plan for free in 2026. I think being able to purchase the dining plan can make a pretty big difference for you.
yeah, that is you. That's a little bit of outside the box. That would have occurred to me to think about that. It was
Yeah.
such a huge benefit, but it really is a big
It
benefit.
is a benefit that some people I think overlook because we're used to being on property, so we know that that benefit is there for us. But I recently had somebody ask me about adding it, and then was like, "Well, wait, you can't. You're not. It's great that you got that big Airbnb just a few miles away, but
Yeah.
you're pretty far out there, and you can't add the dining plans."
Yes, yes, yeah. So keep that in mind if you're looking at those options off property. We understand why people want to utilize them, but when it says 2, 3 miles away from the parks, that doesn't factor in all the time that it takes to navigate property as well.
That's right. All right, so we know my number one. What's your number one, Rachel?
So my number 1 is the themed resorts.
Mhm.
It's very special. Even if you're staying at a value resort, staying at one of the All-Stars, kids love those. The larger than life statues, those fascinate children. And there's a lot of Disney touches in with those too, especially in movies at All-Star Movies Resort. I just the theming and I think that goes along with your number 1 as well that
I
you
was
just
just going to say, we could kind of bundle it all in together because part of my Disney bubble experience is the experience that you have at each resort and how you're fully immersed in whatever the theming of your resort may be, whether it be the Wilderness Lodge or Art of Animation or anywhere in between. You're fully submerged. And I love not having to worry about being out of Disney and out of the bubble, but it's really the feeling that you have and what you experience in the bubble that makes it number one for me.
yeah. I would agree with that. When we get on property, we don't leave property unless there's some kind of an emergency that we would need to go out and seek medical attention for. We're not going to go off property. There's plenty of
They'll come to
restaurants.
you eventually.
Yeah, there's rest. We have been to a night pediatrician before, but
Oh no.
Yeah, everything was okay. It was just it happened. So, but that is so nice, and you really do block out the outside world from that. You forget what day it is. You have all these things. It's almost like when you're on a cruise and you forget what day it is, and you have to look
Right.
at your navigator to figure out what day it is.
That's
But
what day is today.
that is a lot like Walt Disney World, and if you've ever been to Disneyland, you don't necessarily have that as much at Disneyland. Now, when you're inside the parks do a really good job of hiding the outside world from that, but if you're walking around, the Esplanade, then you do hear and see some of the traffic from the other areas. You can see as you're driving along that main strip there in Anaheim that you do see the parks. So, you lose a little bit of that there. That's just because of the location. But at Walt Disney World, once you see those big signs with Walt Disney World and Mickey and Minnie and the characters, you are in that bubble.
Right. And I don't want to leave it ever, but I definitely don't want to leave it until vacation's over. I see the see you real soon sign on the way out. And,
Yep.
gone are the days of the Tragical Express riding back to the airport. But whatever your ride share or transportation option is to get back to the airport, or if you're heading in your own car on the way home, it's something I only want to have to do once each trip because I don't need to leave every day.
Yes. So one thing that we didn't mention, but I think it's important to mention, and this could go along with our number three, the benefits of time and everything, is that we do have the benefit when you stay on property of extra time in the parks too. Every single day, you get 30 minutes extra in every single park in the morning. So if you are a morning person, this is a great time to get out. I do recommend being at the park actually about 45 minutes to an hour before the posted park opening to make sure that you get in and can get to where you want to go. Because sometimes they do let people in early from that and start running the rides a
Hmm.
little bit early if you're lucky
Yep.
for that. And then if
Yep.
you're staying at a deluxe resort on Mondays and Wednesdays, you do get extra time in the parks too. Most often, that is Epcot on Mondays and Magic Kingdom on Wednesdays. But during the festival times of the holidays, like Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party, they'll usually change what park has that into the Magic Kingdom because of so many party dates with the Magic Kingdom.
And I do have one other honorable mention concerning our benefits. I'll throw in there since you threw in one more. This may be laughable if you're someone who knows me well, but I'll explain. If you book a Disney World vacation package, you'll also get free entrance to either miniature golf or Wide World of Sports during your stay. If you haven't golfed at Disney before, mini golf, they do have two miniature golf courses to choose from. It's usually, I think, around $19-20 for adults, around $12 per kid for mini golf. So having that free gives you something to do. If you want to take a resort day that you aren't doing a park, having an additional free activity to do other than just resort activities or swimming at the pool is a fun thing. To me, I kind of laugh because I tend to book a lot of Disney packages for myself. And at one point last year, my Disney Experience app was so clogged up from mini park entrance tickets that I could not link any more tickets or use my account. And I called technical support and they were not able to help me. They had no idea what to do. Their only recommendation was to go use them because they could not delete them from my account. So I ended up extending a cruise. I was on a cruise on the Disney Treasure in December, and I decided that when I got back to Port Canaveral, I was going to stay one night, and I booked a room at the Swan Reserve with the sole intention of getting up in the morning and heading across the street when they open the mini golf and having them scan all of my tickets so that I can clear my account. And I had thought, there'd be families waiting or something. I would scan in and ask them to please let other guests use these so that they weren't going to waste, because it's not that I don't appreciate it, but I just didn't have time to use all of them that we had. And the cast members there were so gracious and kind after they laughed at me. I don't know why other people don't have this problem. Like, I cannot be the only person out there that has this problem. They actually gave me little packets with rain date tickets. So if you're there and you start golfing and it rains, they'll give you a pass to come back and golf another day. They not only cleared my account so that I could still use it, but they gave me passes to come back and use them at another time. So I didn't lose the benefit, and I can still mini golf, and I can now use my Disney Experience account again. So
Yes, that is fantastic news, because those do if you go through your account, if you've had a package anytime in the last couple of years and you go through your account, you will see those mini golf tickets are still there,
And
just
that's the
waiting.
thing, they don't expire for, so I think, like I said, it was December of 2024. I still had tickets in there from February of 2023. So they were heading for 2 years old and hadn't expired yet. So it just takes a really long time for them to fall out of the system, which is great. If they expired after that week, I'd probably be complaining, saying, well, why aren't they good longer? I didn't
Yeah.
have time to use them. But I really wouldn't anticipate them lasting any longer than that actual vacation. So it's super generous of Disney that they do. That was just my own problem in my own account that I had to deal with due to how many stays I had. All right. Well, that was a pretty good top five. And I appreciate you guys all listening to us talk through that and the resorts. And hopefully, if you were trying to decide whether or not you want to stay at a Walt Disney World Resort hotel on your upcoming Disney vacation, this helps you decide.
Today's listener question, we were asked, how do I navigate the parks on days when I do not have party tickets, but a party is going on? So, Missy, how would you recommend navigating the parks on days that parties are going on, but you do not have party tickets?
So in this case, I believe they're referring to a party like Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party, Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, Jollywood Nights, that sort of thing. So I think you really have two decisions that you'll need to make, most likely based on your budget and your timing when you're booking your trip. So if you aren't going to use that day as a park day, it won't matter as much as if you are. And if you are using it as a park day and you want to use a different day of your stay to visit the Magic Kingdom or Hollywood Studios, respectively, depending on which party we're talking about, I think the first choice you need to make is, should I visit the park on a day of the party or should I visit one not on the party? So I always recommend not visiting on a party day simply because you'll have more time to be able to be in the park. If you can't avoid going there on a party day because your schedule just doesn't allow it, which I could come up with a list of reasons why maybe you would have to go there on a party day, I would say to get there early. If you're a resort guest, get there for the early entry, spend as much time as you possibly can there. Don't waste your time at sit down restaurants if you want to prioritize rides. If you want to prioritize restaurants, that's fine. Get started at them early. And I would also recommend, if you want to do a table service meal, schedule it for pretty late in the day. So if the park closes at 6 o'clock, I'm not saying to try to work the system and schedule a reservation for 5:55 p.m. so that you can try to sneak in for part of the party. But don't schedule it for 4 o'clock, knowing you have to be out at 6 and then you have no time to do anything after your 4 o'clock meal. So I would say, if 5:30 rolls around, you've done the rides you wanted to do, that would be great if then you had a table service meal scheduled. And then, of course, once you're finished dining, they'll be able to escort you to the way to exit if you don't have the party tickets.
So that's funny that you say that because my advice would be this would be
Is your
one.
advice to have a 5:55 p.m.
Yeah,
reservation?
'cause I've done that before, but I knew we were going to get kicked out. I really just wanted to see how far would they escort us.
Okay,
And
then.
we left, we did leave. But so my advice would be one, this is a great time to have park hoppers if that's available in your budget so you can go to a different park. But also, this is a really good time to, a lot of families like to spend more than one day at the Magic Kingdom. So, for instance, if you're talking about Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party or Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party, and you can have 2 days in the Magic Kingdom, use a party day as one of your park days because you are dealing with families who maybe are only visiting one time during their entire stay and they want to make sure that they are seeing fireworks. So they are not going to visit the Magic Kingdom on a party day because that is going to exclude their ability to view the fireworks. So you will find that a lot of families will choose not to go on the party day. So if you have the ability to visit the Magic Kingdom multiple times during your trip on multiple days, then I would still recommend going on a party day. This is something that we do. We experience lower crowds a lot of times during this. It might be a little bit different on the weekends. I'm talking about during the weekdays. We experience lower crowds, able to do what we want to do. And then we can get back to the resort, maybe have some pool time or go over to Disney Springs afterwards. Or if we have a park hopper, go and hop to another park that's going to be open later in the evening and have dinner over there. So I would say if you have the ability to come back to the Magic Kingdom or go back to Hollywood Studios, then go on a party day and enjoy some lower crowds during the day. Once 4 p.m. hits, you will notice an uptick in crowds. If you could leave about 5, that would be even better because you have the rush of party guests getting there at 4 p.m. They do because they can and they want to take advantage of all the park time that they can. But you can leave at 5, go do something else for the evening, have an early night, have a restful sleep, then go to the party, go to the park on the party day and enjoy lower crowds. All right. If you have a question that you would like for us to answer, there are 2 ways that you can submit those. You can email us at a Disney Life at storybookdestinations.com or podcast at storybookdestinations.com. That is again a Disney Life at storybookdestinations.com or podcast at storybookdestinations.com. You can also join our Facebook group, search for A Disney Life. You're welcome to ask your questions there. We can feature on the show too. We also have an Instagram. You can find us. Our handle is A Disney Life Pod. That again is A Disney Life Pod. Please join us over there and follow us. See some fun reels throughout the week that we have created from our shows too. All right, so our tip of the week this week. If you are planning on visiting the Walt Disney World Resort on Halloween and you do not have a Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party ticket, again, these are already sold out for that date, and we are filming this in early July. So if you're planning on being there on Halloween and you do not have a party ticket, you are not out of luck for trick or treating. Your resort will actually have trick or treating. So take a bag, take your kids' costumes, and go around your resort and enjoy some trick or treating. I know a couple of years ago, we actually had dinner at Ohana the night of Halloween. If you go to the windows at Ohana, you can see out to the rest of to a large part of the resort area and over the water and everything like that too. So we were looking out there and we actually saw Stitch out there doing a meet and greet with kids. And so your resort will have some offerings on Halloween too. So your kids are not left out for trick or treating.
That sounds like a lot of fun being able to see the Halloween fireworks from there as well if you had a later dinner. I'm assuming your
Yeah,
dinner was earlier, and I know the
it
fireworks are kind of
was
later,
earlier. Yes.
but it would be a fun spot to watch those fireworks from. And I feel like even though the Polynesian is a very relaxed resort, I bet as a child on Halloween with those lit up tiki torches and flames, maybe you can kind of get a spooky vibe in the air. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's a great idea too. So yeah, go have dinner at Ohana and go trick or treating. But if you're
Pro
not
tip.
doing that, your resort will still have trick or treating, which again is another benefit of staying on property that they really do. We've talked about the activities boards before on this show, but the resort does a really good job of just helping you create memories for your family too at that time period. And I've seen some around Thanksgiving as well, different things that resorts will offer. So they do keep
Mhm.
that in mind as well, that calendar dates are still going on, holidays are still going on outside of Walt Disney World, and they want to make sure you're having fun as well. All right, thank you for listening to episode 7 of A Disney Life. We appreciate every single one of you for listening and tuning in every single week to hear us chat about Disney. Again, we have a Facebook group at Disney Life on Facebook.com. Please join us over there where we post throughout the week as well. And you'll see photos that'll be featured in the show. And again, join us on Instagram. Our IG handle is A Disney Life Pod. We post reels there throughout the week of the show too. We would love to have you join us, pop in and say hi. If you have any questions, tips, or comments, or want to be featured, please send us an email at a Disney Life at storybookdestinations.com or podcast at storybookdestinations.com. And we'll see you soon.
Thanks so much for listening. Bye bye.
Bye.